Hey Nerd Faithful, it's Rick from The Big Bang Life. I'm here at JordanCon 7 with illustrator and artist Isaac Stewart. Isaac's probably most known for, at least from my knowledge and probably from a lot of fans' knowledge, doing a lot of illustrations and artwork with several books by Brandon Sanderson, including the Mistborn series, Stormlight Archive, and a few other short stories that Brandon has recently came out with. So Isaac, thanks for joining us today.
Glad to be here.
Great, great. So, tell me a little bit, what got you into art and illustrations?
Well, ever since I was young, when I was little, I was drawing, things like that, you know. I would, my mom taught Sunday school, and so she'd have me draw the pictures for the other kids. And so I started young drawing, and I never thought that it would be something that would take me anywhere. It was just a hobby. But when I was about probably 13 or 14, my dad got a book in the mail from his sister for his birthday. And this package that came in the mail, I'm like, I wonder what this is. So I opened it before he got home from work. And inside was a paperback of The Dragon Bone Chair by Tad Williams. And it had this gorgeous cover art by Michael Whalen. And it caught my eye. Up to this point, I had maybe read The Hobbit, but most of the books I was reading were you know, about a boy and his dog in Alaska, that sort of thing. And I wasn't a big reader, but this thing was thick and beautiful, and it had an author's warning in the front, and I read that. But that cover stuck with me, and I wound up looking for everything that Michael Whalen had produced that I could get my hands on. And so really, that was the start. I loved his stuff, and then all through high school, I tried to emulate it. Obviously, I'm not a painter like he is, but I did wind up into art largely because of that cover inspired me.
Awesome. Yeah. As a lot of the fans know, and I've talked to you earlier, I'm a huge Brandon Sanderson fan. I've read literally every single book he's had so far. Can't wait for more. I especially love the Mistborn series, which you played a big role in, and also the Stormlight Archive, which is a newer series that he came out with as well. And he's actually kind of adding more to the Mistborn series. And you've been doing a lot of illustrations in that. So tell me a little bit about your experience doing the artwork and illustrations in Mistborn, and kind of what got you started from there, and we can jump into Stormlight Archive from there.
Well, I met Brandon in college, and I actually had gone back to school, and he was teaching the creative writing class that I had taken before I graduated. So I was working in video games, decided I needed to change, went back to school, and took this class, and he and I were closer in age than the rest of the people in the class, and he and I kind of clicked, and started going to dinner after class and chatting. And one day at a restaurant, Macaroni Grill, I was drawing on the tablecloth. They give you crayons and things. And he looked over and he says, "You're an artist?" I said, "Yeah, I am an artist. You want to do the maps for my next book?" And at this time, Elantris wasn't even out yet. It was about to come out. And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, what's your next book?" "Oh, it's Mistborn," and he explained it to me. And so I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll do maps." And so that's kind of how I tripped into that, was just by doodling on everything. The experience was a lot of fun. It was, you know, I got to read Mistborn pretty much before anybody else had, and I marked up the manuscript. I printed it out, and I had drew pictures in the margins of Vin and Ellen, but mostly Vin and Inquisitors just fighting each other. And they're not as nice of illustrations as, say, like Ben McSweeney, right? But I was totally inspired by this, and originally we were going to have little fight scenes at the head of every chapter, but we've eventually settled on symbols for all of the metals, and that's what we see in there now, are the allomantic symbols, which were inspired by basically a picture I saw of a pile of nails.
Really?
Rusty old nails. And the map was a lot of fun. I think I've come a long way since then, but the map was a lot of fun. We decided that, hey, this kind of has a sort of Dickens-esque feel to it, so I went back to old maps of London and said, okay, what do the maps look like here? And that's where I got a lot of my inspiration for that first map. I've since gone back and redone the map for the YA versions, given it a little bit more finesse. But that was the origin of kind of the map there.
Wow, 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 wow. And I, of course, I'm a huge fan of maps. I love them. As I'm reading books, I'm probably like triple, quadrupling every time when I'm reading a sentence, looking back, okay, where am I at? Where are they at in the story? And I just love that about maps. And I even made my own for a book that I like to play with on my computer a little bit. And that's probably like my favorite part of the whole thing. I'll look at that for hours and I'm just like, wow, we could do something there. So what kind of goes into the process of creating a map?
Well, I have two different philosophies on map making. The first one is, if you're a writer and you're writing the map, really what you need to do is not worry so much about, you know, spending 50-odd years coming up with your world building before you write the book. I don't know if you've ever seen any of Brandon's first maps, but they're basically, you know, sketches in MS Paint to keep track of, okay, things are here, things are here, things are here. They don't need to be gorgeous if it's something that you're just writing your story from. Unless, you know, it's a hobby of yours and you do want to make a map that looks nice for what you're writing. But I've done workshops before where I say, you know, make a crappy map and then go write your stinking book. And worry about making a nice map when you have a publisher. But, you know, on the other hand, there's as an artist, how do I start doing a map? It really depends. Some authors come to me and they'll say, hey, this is what I want, you just make it pretty. And so that's what I do. I take their coastline and I make it look more like a coastline or whatever fits the style of the map. And then I just go from there and make their map pretty. With Brandon's works, and part of this has come from long years of trust, is he gives me the manuscript, I read through it, and I am literally an explorer going through this world, and I'm making notes, I'm making maps of this world as I go, and it may be different from what Brandon originally intended, but we become collaborators in the process, and I say, what were you imagining here? And I will come back and say, what if this, what if that, does it fit your vision? It's fun. We get to do a bit of back and forth and kind of create this world together. And then I present each successive draft to Brandon until it matches, and kind of my vision of things and his vision of things sort of meld into the middle, where he's the director and I'm kind of an art director, if that makes any sense. And so I love creating maps with Brandon in that regard. I don't know if that covers the whole process of what you're thinking of, but I do have, I did do an interview with Tor.com about kind of the exact process that I go through, and that was on a Brian Staveley map for his book, The Emperor's Blades. So that is out there. It's kind of this is my process of how I build a map from the ground up.
Right. Awesome, awesome. So what's it been like working with Ben McSweeney too? You two, I guess, are kind of hand in hand. So
yes.
What's that relationship kind of like?
So Ben, I consider him a good friend, and he has been fun to work with because he's an amazing artist, and he does his research. We do a lot of back and forth there too, and I think it's fun working with Brandon in so much that he allows Ben and me to be a part of the creative process. There's a lot of ownership that goes into that. So Ben as well, he does his research. Like on in The Way of Kings, a lot of the flora and fauna appear to be like things from a coral reef or something. And Ben will go in and find real-world analogs to a lot of these things, and you say, what if I use this thing from nature in this part of this animal? And so he is very research-based. He's very he just really gets into the art, and Ben's a great guy, and I love working with him. We've got him working right now on the new broadsheet pages for the sequels to Alloy of Law. So that's what we're currently
doing. Those are some of your recent. So those are. Do you have any recent publishings that you guys have recently done with artwork and stuff?
We have, well, if you've heard of the Gunpowder trilogy, the Powder Mage trilogy by Brian McClellan, the third book in that trilogy just came out, and I did the maps and symbols for that. As far as Brandon work goes, we had the Words of Radiance that came out last year with
that's the
lots
second
of
book.
art. Second book in the Stormlight Archive, and we're about to embark on the third book of the Stormlight Archive. And it's always a, take a deep breath, dive in, because there's going to be a lot of artwork.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of where we're at. We are right now trying to get the artwork done for the next Alloy of Law era books.
And what's that going to be titled?
So we've got Shadows of Self, which comes out, I believe, in October.
Okay.
And then the sequel to Shadows of Self, which is called The Bands of Mourning, which comes out in January.
Wow.
So I would like to promo those because
yes, absolutely.
they are awesome books, and fans of Mistborn are just going to eat them up.
Yeah,
I love them.
I can't wait for anything that comes out of his. I'm already have it on pre-order when it's ready to come in. So
well, thank you. It's people like you that keep us employed.
Absolutely.
And we love it. The fandom and reading and things. We love it, and we are so lucky and feel lucky to be part of this amazing community.
Yeah, it's an absolute pleasure being able to read and enjoy and just soak in all of the artwork and the illustrations and the plot. I mean, the combination that you, Ben, and Brandon put together is just, I think that's what's so attractive with the stories that and not only that, you guys are just so good about being on time with getting books published and having anywhere between 2 or 3 a year even out there so it keeps fans satisfied while waiting for the big books to come out.
Yeah.
So that's really, really awesome. So being an illustrator artist yourself, what kind of pointers do you have for people that are kind of looking at doing art for a living, or maybe just doing it as a hobby like myself, just piddling on my computer at home?
What's awesome is that since the time that I kind of got into it, and now there's so many resources available online. I mean, when I was learning how to do this stuff, I'd go find a magazine, and I was just at the tail end of that, right before the internet broke out and everybody knew about it. So now you can go online, you can go to YouTube and say, hey, I want to learn how to do this in art, and you can type it in and find out.
Right.
Oh, hey, here's a tutorial on how to draw people. Here's a tutorial on how to draw hair. I think that's amazing, the resources that are available. My first thing would be find artists whose work you admire, look into their techniques. If you need to, carry a sketchbook around. Copy what you think looks cool, because that's basically what you're doing is you're learning, oh, hey, this person doing this illustration, you can kind of get into their mindset of, oh, that's why they used that line. So it sounds weird, but copy the people whose work you admire, and allow that to influence you, to help you to find and define your own style. Because really, that's what we can be defined by our influence. We're standing on the shoulders of giants. We have all this information, and if you copy the people whose stuff you like, you're going to come up with a style that is influenced by them, but also something that you like as well. And that will keep you fired up to continue doing more illustrations. But that's a good jumping off point. You've got the internet, find the people whose work you admire.
Awesome. What are some good sites that we could probably look up your works that you've done both with Brandon and other artists, other authors? What are some sites that fans could possibly go to kind of sink their hands, sink their teeth into?
Go to brandonsanderson.com. So any artwork that I've done for him is going to be posted on the site there. My website, it's a bit outdated. Working on getting it up again, but I have stuff on there, other art that I've done for other artists. So that's IsacStewart.com, and I'll that'll be updated as as I get time to do it. So I work full-time for Brandon, and so Brandon stuff comes first.
Yeah.
So
understandable, understandable.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
Because if you love his stuff,
yeah.
I will promise you I'm doing everything I can to get us more Cosmere books out there, support his writing, being able to do this. So.
Cosmere is just amazing. I can't wait for more of it to start tying in.
It's fun.
We could go on a complete other tangent.
We could sit and discuss that, which is fun. Yeah.
Awesome.
Can I plug a book?
Yeah.
I'd love to plug this book by Brandon that we put out as a company. So this isn't by any publisher other than us, Dragon Steel Entertainment. And this is the fun thing, and it's got 2 different covers here.
Nice.
So one of these is Shadows for Silence in the Forests of Hell, which was originally published in Dangerous Women, edited by George R.R. Martin and Gardner Dozois. So, and it's a fun story. It's set in the Cosmere. So there's some tidbits of, what's going on in the greater scheme of Brandon's works. And then there's also Perfect State, which is a new novella that Brandon wrote, specifically to be put out here. They're both available in ebook. They're a lot of fun.
These are actually 2 I have not read yet. I just saw these recently on the thing, so I'm looking forward to actually.
They're a lot of fun. A lot of fun. And what's cool is that Peter Ahlstrom, Brandon's other assistant, his editorial assistant, and we get to put these books together. We get to design them. And we just have a lot of fun being kind of this mini publishing house. Hiring artists to do the amazing covers that we have on here. This one's by Miranda Meeks, who is an up-and-coming artist. She's got a great style. And this is by, I'm going to butcher his name because I haven't met him in person and I don't know how to say it, but J.P. Targete, T-A-R-G-E-T-E. And he's got some great artwork out there too, and he did a phenomenal job on the cover for Perfect State. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to checking those out because the Cosmere stuff, and for you fans out there that aren't familiar with Cosmere is a general term. It's basically like a kind of like a galaxy.
Yeah, well, the Cosmere is a word that Brandon came up with to describe his shared universe. So any fantasy novel of Brandon's, or most of his fantasy novels, if Earth does not exist in that place, it exists in the Cosmere. So we've got things like the Rhythmatist and Steelheart, which have Earth. There are Earth analogs in there, so they are not part of the Cosmere. The Wheel of Time is not part of the Cosmere, but Brandon's fantasy novels, for the most part, are Cosmere novels, which is cool.
And that's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger and start tying in more and more. I'm looking forward to it.
We should mention as a caveat in the Cosmere that you don't need to be aware of what's going on in the broader Cosmere universe to be able to enjoy the books individually. These are Easter eggs at this point, where you can read it and you find recurring characters, recurring themes within the magic systems, things like that. So at the beginning of these things, it was stuff that people were reading and going, hey, are there connections here? And now it's widely known that they're connected. But you don't have to know about the Cosmere to enjoy the books individually. It's for those fans who want to dig deeper that there's a lot more meaning and layers, which makes it fun that you can enjoy it on several different levels.
Well, Isaac, it's been an absolute pleasure being able to pick your brain today. Hopefully I can do it maybe next year even, if you're around.
If I'm around, I'd love to.
Absolutely. So thanks again for coming.
Thanks, Rick.
And I really appreciate it. And we'll see you later, Nerd Faithful.